Sagara Vedase Diya Parachaya Sholohe Amai Tomara Charana Dori Diya Parachaya Sholohe Amaya Tomara Charana Dori Jaya Dekha Dori Jaya Dosha Dori Jaya Guna Deho Dase Jaya Dekha Dori Jaya Dosha Dori Jaya Guna Deho Dase Jaya Satsanga Deo e amare Boshashi Shangera She Jaya Satsanga Deo e amare Boshashi Shangera Ekaki amar Nahi pai bhalo Harinama Sankirtane Ekaki amara Nahi pai bhalo Harinama Sankirtane Tumi kripa kori Sharabindu diya Deha Krishna namadane Tumi kripa kori Sharavindu diya Deha Krishna namadane Krishna se tomar Krishna dite paro Tomara shakti ache Amito Kanga Krishna Krishna Boli Daitava Pache Pache Amito Kanga Krishna Krishna Boli Daitava Pache Pache Oh hey Vaisesika Joyara Sagara Idase Koruna Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Ujjvala Varana Gaura Bharati Nivita Niravari Bhava Videra Ujjvala Varana Gaura Bharati Nivita Niravari Bhava Videra Shri Bhuvana Pavana Kripaya Vesha Savaya Mami Shakti Shakti Gajaram Sarapavadikaram Rujanakaranaravisharam Bhavaya Vajana Karudam Sambharamami Shakti Shakti Kanayam Anambarajara Sarika Polam Indubhinindika Nakachaya Ruchiram Chautita Nijaguna Nama Vinodam Anamami Shakti Shakti Kanayam Virutanaya Palagalagaram Bhushana Navarata Pavavikaram Katiyati Mantara Nitya Vilasam Sambharamami Shakti Shakti Kanayam Chanchala Charutana Shakti Ruchiram Manjirarantita Marayuta Madhura Chandra Vinintita Sitala Vadanam Sambharamami Shakti Shakti Kanayam Shakti Gola Kamandayudanda Divya Kalevaya Undita Munda Durjana Kalvata Kandana Nanda Sambharamami Shakti Shakti Kanayam Satinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Satinandana Jaya Satinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Jaya Gaura Hari Bo Go Premanande. Chapter 12, Bhagavad Gita, English. Because everyone knows the Sanskrit to everything, but the English to nothing. We'll still take the drone if it's okay. Can you still watch? You can still, okay. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to this perfect stage. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. And now, please put up the English translations for all the verses that we do before the Guru Puja. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Sri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you're the giver of your own bliss, and you're the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Guru Dev, you're the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. Although I know that my spiritual master is a servitor of Sri Chaitanya, I know him also as a plenary manifestation of the Lord. Every living entity is eternally a servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Therefore, the spiritual master cannot be other than a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training disciples in a service attitude. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. The relationship of a disciple with his spiritual master is as good as his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Spiritual masters always represent themselves as the humblest servitors of the personality of Godhead, but the disciple must look upon the spiritual master as the manifested representation of Godhead. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the Supersoul and is the greatest devotee of the Lord. The initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madan Mohan Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govindadev Vigraha. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Supersoul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of his feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Kati Shadma. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Kahati Sadma. prapti hoy jaha Padma Bhakya Shitete Kriya Oikya Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Shitete Kriya Oikya Charane Rati Yeshayutama Gati Jnana Hriday Prakashito Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito Prema Bhakti Raha Hoite Aditya Vinata Jate Aditya Vinata Jate Didi Gai Jahara Charito Didi Gai Jahara Charito Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Lokana Lokera Divana Divana Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Vishnu Padaya Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prasarine Nirshesha Shundavari Paschatya Rishakarine Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Srimad Sudan Giri Hari Gopinath Madan Mohan Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaisesika Bhagavad Gita Shri Rushanatha Pataragunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Jas Raghunath Jai Gosai Kori Charanavanan Jahaite Vignanath Abhishtapuran Jai Gosai Jar Nuitar Das Sansavar Pararin Mora Pankagras Charana Deve Bhakta Sanivas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash. Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash. Hey! Bolo Anande Bolo Hare Radha Vrindavan. Bolo Anande Bolo Hare Radha Vrindavan. Guru Vaishnava Hare Bhajamiyaman. Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottamo Das. Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottamo Das. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Japanande. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Napajan, Premanande, Haribo. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Bhajare. Hey! Govinda Gopala Hare. Bhajare. Hey! Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madhava, Radha Banki Bihari, Radha Damodara, Radha Girihari,
Radha Damodara,
Radha Gokulananda,
Radha Gopi Vallabha,
Radha Govinda, Jorgar Gopinatha, Radha Kichorgar, Radha Kika Bihari, Gandharvika Giridhari,
Radha Nila Madha,
Radha Nila Madhava,
Radha Giridhari,
Radha Patasarki,
Radha Parthasarthi,
Radha Raghunath,
Radha Ramana,
Radha Rasa Bihari,
Radha Rasvihari,
Radha Shamsundar,
Radha Shamsundar,
Radha Rukmini Dwarkadish,
Kishori,
Radha Govinda,
Bhagare. Hey! Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. I say Shri Bhagavana ko mere parambar pranam hai. Mere parambar pranam. I say Shri Jnana Shyama ko mere parambar pranam hai. Jnana Shyama ko mere parambar pranam hai. Go Premanande! Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivarjkaracharya Ashtottarashata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanaravindha Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivarjkaracharya Ashtottarashata Shri Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
And the Bhagavad Gita also, please, Shastra. It's a well-known fact, universally known, that if you sing about a place, then you'll go there. So one of the main processes of Krishna consciousness, we're redirecting our attention to the very place where we want to go, because where attention goes, energy flows. And we're putting all our devotional energy towards the highest destination. Otherwise, what's life for? We're just wandering in the material world, and there's no point to it at all. It's all random. And at the end, people aren't prepared to leave their body, which is a launch. You're supposed to prepare for the launch. In fact, when NASA shoots off a rocket, the most important part is the preparation. And so we're preparing for the launch. And in that, we have to be focused on the target. The coordinates are already put in. Goloka namni nija damni chaleta tasya devi mahesha haridam suteshu teshu te prabhava nichaya vihitasya yena govinda mari purusham damaham bhajami. If you aim at Devi Dham, you're going to hit it. But if you aim for Goloka Vrindavan, if you have devotion, that will pull you right back to that spiritual planet where Krishna is engaged in his pastimes. So that's why we sing this next song. It's a song that transports us right back to the spiritual world just by singing with devotion. All that's necessary, no other ingredient needed. The song plus our own sincere desire to go join Krishna in the spiritual world. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of guided Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. I offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to all the previous acharyas, and to the assembled devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhave evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I'm going to read from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, chapter 12, the killing of the demon Agahasura. And I'm taking up at text number 24. I'll say the word for word first. And if you like, please respond accordingly. Asman, all of us. Kim, whether. Atra, here. Grasita, will swallow. Vishtan, who have attempted to enter. Ayam, this animal. Tata, so. Chet, if. Bhagavat, like Bakasura. Vinangshati, he will be vanquished. Shanat, immediately. Anena, by this Krishna. Iti, in this way. Bhakari Ushat Mukham, the beautiful face of Krishna, the enemy of Bakasura. Viksha, observing, looking at. Udasantaha, loudly laughing. Karatadanai, with clapping of hands. Yayu, entered the mouth. Translation, we can read together. Then the boys said, has this living creature come to swallow us? If he does so, he will immediately be killed like Bakasura without delay. Thus they looked at the beautiful face of Krishna, the enemy of Bakasura, and laughing loudly and clapping their hands, they entered the mouth of the python. Asman kimatra grasita nirvishtan. Ayam tata ched bhakavad vinangshati. Shanad aneneti bakar yushan mukham. Vikshyo dasanta karatadanair yayu. Asman kimatra grasita nivishtan. Ayam tata ched bhakavad vinakshati. Shanad anineti bakaryushan mukham. Viksho dasanta karatadanair yayu. Dozo. Asman kimatra grasita nivishtan.
Ayam tata ched bhagavad vinakshati. Chanadaneti bhakaryusan mukham. Viksho dasanta karatadanaryayuhu.
Asmat kimatra grasita nivishtan.
Asman kimatra grasita nivishtan.
Ayam tata ched bhagavad vinakshati.
Ayam tata ched bhagavad vinakshati.
Shanadani niti bakaryushan mukhan. Vikshodhya shanta karatadanairyayu.
Purport. After talking about the terrible animal this way and that way, they decided to enter the demon's mouth. They had full faith in Krishna because they had experienced how Krishna had saved them from the mouth of Bakasura. Now, here was another Asura, Bagasura. Therefore, they wanted to enjoy the sport of entering the demon's mouth and being saved by Krishna, the enemy of Bakasura. I'll read the English for the next verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is situated as Antaryami, the supersoul in the core of everyone's heart, heard the boys talking among themselves about the artificial python. Unknown to them, it was actually Agasura, a demon who had appeared as a python. Krishna, knowing this, wanted to forbid his associates to enter the demon's mouth. In the meantime, while Krishna was considering how to stop them, all the cowherd boys entered the mouth of the demon. The demon, however, did not swallow them, for he was thinking of his own relatives who had been killed by Krishna and was just waiting for Krishna to enter his mouth. Krishna saw that all the cowherd boys, who did not know anyone but him as their Lord, had now gone out of his hand and were helpless, having entered like straws into the fire of the abdomen of Aghasura, who was death personified. It was intolerable for Krishna to be separated from his friends, the cowherd boys. Therefore, as if seeing that this had been arranged by his internal potency, Krishna was momentarily struck with wonder and unsure of what to do. Now, what was to be done? How could both the killing of this demon and the saving of the devotees be performed simultaneously? Krishna, being unlimitedly potent, decided to wait for an intelligent means by which he could simultaneously save the boys and kill the demon. Then he entered the mouth of Aghasura. Purport: Krishna is known as Anantavirya Sarvagya, because everything is known to him. Because he knows everything perfectly well, it was not difficult for him to find a means by which he could save the boys and at the same time kill the demon. Thus he also decided to enter the demon's mouth. In text 24, we have the boys making a consideration as they've, in their daily excursion with Krishna, which is a daily affair. Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has his devotees, and they come with him wherever he goes as much as possible. In Vrindavan, where Krishna lives, he has a schedule to keep, so to speak. And that schedule is to accommodate his devotees. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham manuvartante manusya partha sarvasha. He's keeping up with every living entity. And according to the impetus of a particular living entity, Krishna reciprocates. He's aware of every living entity and knows what their desires are and knows exactly how to reciprocate with each one of them. He gives freedom for those who wish to be separate from him. That's the plight of those who come to the material world, a feeling of separation from Krishna, although they may not know it. They feel the discomfort of being separated from him and engaged by his external energy. Just for foundation to the development of this conversation, the Vishnu Purana, as quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, says, of Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetrak Yakya Tatapara Avidya Karma Sangyanya Tritiya Shaktir Ishite. There are various categories of energy in this world and the spiritual world. And there's the internal, the external, and the marginal. Tritiya, three energies. Of course, Parasya Shaktir Vivadaiva Shrite Swabhavika Jnana Balakriya Cha. Another verse from the Shastra which says, actually, the Lord's energies are multifarious and unlimited. But for the sake of understanding, we're given three categories: internal, external, and marginal. Krishna is the origin of everything and everyone, and those who are conscious beings are of a higher category of energy. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he describes the lower energy as earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And above that, he said, are the entities who are my parts. And then they're same in quality with Krishna, but they're tiny, they're minute. And our relationship with Krishna, and we do have a relationship, as it's mentioned in the Brahma Samhita, Sanitya Nitya Sambandha Prakatishcha Parayavasa. Every living soul has an eternal, unending, no beginning, no end relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yovididhati Kaman. The Upanishads say that our relationship with him in a general sense is he's the feeder and we're the fed. And he's perfectly capable of reciprocating with every living entity. What's more, indicating this interesting situation that we may be in here in this material world. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamaivam sho jiva loke jiva bhuti sanatana manakshastan indriyani prakritistani karshati, which means that Krishna, parts and parcels, we are Krishna's fragmental parts. And an example is there's the sun and then the sun rays. Or you could say the particles of sun energy, the photons that come from the sun. So they're one, but they're different at the same time. And so Krishna is the whole, and we're parts of the whole. So in that relationship, Krishna is attending to every living being, whether they're engaged in the external energy and internal energy. And how would that be possible? It's because the living being is called Tatasta, and Vishnu Shakti, Paraprokta, Kshetra Gyakya Tatapara, described as there's the internal energy, external and marginal energy is that which can be engaged in the material or the spiritual energy. We're free to roam. We have free will. So that's the ontological look at our situation. And here we're treated to a scene from the internal energy of Krishna and those living beings who are engaged in his service in the spiritual world. It's playful. It's called Leela. Krishna's not obligated to do anything. He does whatever he wishes by his own sweet will. And his devotees there engage along with him. So in this scene, Krishna is going out to the forest for herding the cows and also for a picnic. In fact, in sociological terms, even in this world, there's what's called the picnic index. People try to ascertain how happy a society may be. In fact, there are surveys every year around the world to discern who are the happiest people. America is way down there. I think we made number 27 this year, and maybe it was Iceland or Finland. Finland was on top. Won't go into the details, but there are studies that have indexes, and there's to ascertain who's in what position. They interview people according to an index, and one of those indexes is called the picnic index. How much time do you have for picnics? Very few people take advantage of the outdoors and go out for a picnic. They'll run in, get some fast food, go home, watch television. But those who have the leisure to go out and have a picnic and be happy, everyone can enjoy nature and be with one another, break bread together and so forth. That's what Krishna does all the time. In fact, the highest level of the picnic index is in Goloka Vrindavan. Because Krishna goes out with his friends every day. His mother packs him a lunch. Everybody gets a lunch. And she makes sure that he's got it. The boys have fun on their way out. In fact, it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam how they're playful. They steal one another's lunch packets and throw to other to play keep away and so forth. So this was such an excursion. Krishna was on his way for a picnic. And there's an interlude, an intervention. There's a break in their journey because they come across Aghasura. And Aghasura is deputed by Kamsa. There's tension in Vrindavan because Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not loved by everyone. Some people fear him. There are those who see Krishna and they think he's going to take over my position, or he'll, by dint of my activities, demoniac activities, he may kill me. And Kamsa was one of those. In fact, he's noted in the Bhagavatam for being afraid of Krishna. The gopis are known for having what's called kama, or kind of a intense desire to love him as lovers, girlfriends. And Kamsa, Bhaya Kamso, he's noted by Shukadeva Goswami to be full of fear. Fear, the word fear, bhayam, comes from pi. Vi means to be in contracted consciousness. This fearfulness arises because of our forgetfulness of our relationship with Krishna. This is mentioned in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 37th verse. It says, Bhayam tvitiya abhinibeshata syad. And that means that when one becomes absorbed in something other than Krishna, then one's consciousness contracts and one becomes afraid. And abhinibeshata is a term. Ab means, it's an intensifier, it means to move forward with some. Abhini, ni means within, and avesha means to enter something. And the root word for avesha is vish, just like Vishnu means the one who enters everything. There's much made of this word in various places because we're always entering somewhere. That's what we do. In fact, it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in Narada's instructions to the sons of Daksha. He gives them an analogy for them to think about. Daksha had 10,000 sons and then he had 1,000 more because Narada saw that they were very qualified and they went away to perform austerity so they could get ready to enter into Grihastha life and produce progeny. And Narada went to their encampment and he preached to them. But he realized they were so intelligent, all he had to do was give them one metaphor for them to think about. And in the metaphor, which seems enigmatic, they could understand when he said, there's a hole you can enter into, and once you enter, nobody's ever come out. Or it's very difficult to come out. And they could understand that once you enter into the material world, abhinibeshata, you enter into it, become absorbed in it, it's impossible to come out. Of course, not impossible, but it's very difficult. And so they left. And they said, we won't enter into the whole of material life. We'll stay absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And we have this tendency as living beings and the capability as marginal. We can go anywhere, we can enter any place. In fact, sarvagataha, Prabhupada mentions from the Bhagavad Gita, means that living entities are everywhere. They've penetrated all kinds of bodies. They can be inside inert matter, and they're not affected in the way that they're always living, always conscious. Their consciousness may be contracted, but still they're entered into there, and that's quite amazing that they could stay in any medium. In fact, whatever it is, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, the living entity can be enter within that medium and be alive. So the issue from the verse I'm mentioning from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is that if you enter the wrong place, then you'll become consumed by it. And that's the problem, because we're small. We have to be careful where we go, how we enter, because you may not be able to get out once you go in. That's a little scary, right? I hate those machines they do, MRI. I used to not mind, not that I get them all the time, but I mean, you know, long life, they put you through a few times every 10 years, whatever, for whatever thing. And recently they said, oh, get in there. And I was like, You're going to have to drug me for that one. Because it's scary being confined, going within. So, bhayam dvitiya. There's, Bhagavatam saying philosophically, there's a second thing that we enter. And that is, we enter into the material world, to just use a general term. And abhinibheshita means that we become fully absorbed in it, so fully absorbed that we take on a false identity. We take on an identity when we enter into matter as a fish. Anybody here ever been a fish? Say yes. Squirrel, anteater, aardvark. You even know what an aardvark is? Okay. 8,400,000 species of life, which are all accommodations. This little soul enters in there, and next thing you know, you're climbing a tree. And this is what Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita. You look at it, you enter it. Dhyato vishayam pumsam sangas teshu bhajayate sangat sanjayate kamat kamat krodha bhajayate. There's a consequence to where we put our attention, because we abhinibheshita. We become absorbed in it, we become covered by it, we become fully embraced by that energy. And that's the mechanics of this world, which we should be aware of. So bhayam then arises because in this context, when we enter some place where we're not aware of Krishna. So now we have the coward boys, and they're entering a very dangerous place, which is the mouth of a python. Not just any python, but Aghasura was a mystic, a wizard, who created this form of a python with the idea that he would kill Krishna. And when the coward boys saw it, they playfully looked at it, they were curious about it, they had a debate about what it was. Some said that it was a snake. Other people said, no, it's a fake snake. Other people said it's a cave. And they were experiencing the various features of Aghasura. They could smell his breath. And so somebody said, no, I think he's alive, because he's breathing and it really smells bad. And interestingly, not just to us as the reader, but to Krishna, they entered within the mouth of the demon. And Krishna's thinking, why are you doing this? There's always a twist in Krishna's pastimes that make them new, fresh, interesting. And Krishna here enjoys his own amazement in that the internal energy gives him an opportunity to be amazed at how his energies are working, even though they're his energies. So the coward boys enter within this seeming cave with some awareness that this is a dangerous situation, but then they reason, well, Krishna, we saw him kill Bakasura. And now here's another dangerous situation, Krishna will save us. And they enter in. And so this is a different kind of abhinibheshata. It means to be fully absorbed in awareness that Krishna is protecting me and that everything is Krishna. It's all his energies. The problem with dvitiya abhinibheshata means that I think there's something separate from Krishna. But the coward boys have no fear because they see that Krishna's energies are working, Krishna's there personally, therefore will take shelter of Krishna and enter in within this dangerous situation. After they enter within, Krishna marches in after them. He revives the coward boys who had asphyxiated within the mouth of the demon. And then he killed Aghasura by expanding himself and choking him. The spiritual being who inhabited that body rose above the form of Aghasura and hovered in the sky until Krishna triumphantly came out with all his coward friends. It's a spectator sport. Krishna's playing. There are devas, higher beings, who are watching this all unfold. And when he comes out, the spiritual spark of Aghasura enters within the body of Krishna. And this is something that Srukadeva Goswami mentions, and that is that this person who had come to a lowly position in life as a demon was liberated. And what's more, it says he had achieved very special kind of end to his life because he had been touched by Krishna's lotus feet. And as we know from the Sri Brahma Samhita, Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sambragamyu Vayoradhapi Manaso Muripungavanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadasindhya Vichintyatatve Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Some people are mechanically trying to apprehend Krishna by drilling the respiration and doing different mechanical processes of yoga. But he always remains out of reach. He can't be reached by mechanical means. Whereas here's this demoniac person, and Krishna's lotus feet were so much available to him, he walked on his tongue and walked into his belly, and there he was, inside the demon Aghasura. What's more, he achieved liberation. Srukadeva Goswami there, within this pastime, mentions a couple of things. One is a famous verse. He says, Itam satam brahma sakanabhutya dasyam gatanam naradaivatena mayashitanam naradarakena sakamvrjaru kritapunya punjaha. He notes that there are different kinds of living entities in relationship with Krishna, and Krishna reciprocates. Same thing I mentioned before, but this is Shukadev mentioning this. He says some people, they see Krishna as impersonal Brahman, so Krishna veils himself in that way. Some others, they worship Krishna reverently, so he has a whole realm where people can worship him reverently in Vaikuntha. Then he says some people, they just see him as an ordinary person, and they have a realm, that's the material world. Mayashitanam naradarakena, they see him as a regular person, and so they're in the material world. Sakamvrjarukrita punya punja, but they're very special living entities who, he says, have achieved such a high level of punya that now they're playing with Krishna as his friends in Vrindavan. And then he mentions that if anyone, even for one moment, can bring the form of Krishna within his or her mind, then that person is assured of attaining success in life. And so our abhinibheshata in matter is something that troubles everyone. There's Carl Jung, who's specialty in psychology, and his contribution to psychological research was much about dreams. Not all about dreams, but he put much into research about dreaming. And you may notice that you dream at night. Have you noticed? I always notice I've become more sensitive to my dreams. I think I've always been sensitive to my dreams, but according to what's happening in the world, I normally process when I'm dreaming. I used to have nightmares when I was a kid because there was so much in the atmosphere about war and about nuclear bombs, or the atom bomb, we called it back then, that could annihilate all of us, and we were doing drills in school. And I used to have dreams at night where I'd wake up and I'd hear the countdown and it was going to go off. And even recently I noticed when my godbrother, Charu Prabhu, passed away, in my normal waking state, I processed it quite stoically because I just saw, well, what's the problem? I mean, we miss him, obviously, because he was one of the most amazing souls I've ever met, personally, and a great devotee. But he had a perfect life. He joined Prabhupada. He never stopped serving. He did so many things to expand the Sankirtan movement. And then all of a sudden, he just checked out and was gone. No fuss, no muss, just, go. And so then at night, I couldn't sleep. And I was noticing how somehow or other there was something more subtle underneath the surface. This is what Jung talked about a lot. He talked about our shadow self, and that we try very hard. In fact, it's our entire endeavor to maintain our sense of identity in the world. Have you ever noticed that? Reputation, the way we look, what's our role with everybody else in the world? Is it maintained properly? If somebody says something bad about you, you can stew over it for months and think, like, how am I going to fix that? Well, you can't, really. You just have to tolerate these things. But there's this dichotomy, a dvitiya, two things going on. One is I have this identity that here I am, this is who I am, I'm presenting myself. And maybe it's a different when I go home. Maybe I have a different way of interacting or seeing myself at home, and then I go to work, I have a different way of seeing myself there, or portraying myself. But even on a more existential level, I'm pretending to be, I use those words deliberately, a particular identity, like I'm supposedly a man, but I'm not. I'm actually beyond the external feature of manhood because I'm not the body. And you're not women in the material sense. And if you want to bring in a squirrel, I'll tell him the same thing. That although you're dedicated to living in a tree and eating nuts and acting crazy half the time, you're not really a squirrel. And therefore, Jung said, beneath the surface, we're all trying to accommodate our changing nature or our artificial way of presenting ourselves in the world. And this is something that Patanjali Muni observed also in his yoga psychology, of seeing that we've assumed a particular body, and then he calls abhiniveshita. He talks a lot about this in the sutras. In second chapter, 9th verse, he talks about abhiniveshita. And he says that abhiniveshita means clinging into life. It's a klesha. Klesha means a source of misery. In fact, he said this is the biggest source of misery for every living being, is this dichotomy, a dvitiya. You're not your body, but you're in a body, and there's multiple things going on. You're trying to maintain your identity and make sure you look okay, which never works out ultimately because it just doesn't work. And then you've got this dichotomy because you're not your body, and Patanjali Muni says, then what we spend our whole life doing is making sure we don't die. And that we somehow or other stay in this body. It's a big topic nowadays. In fact, there's a book called Don't Die. And it's all about what to eat and how much sleep to get, stuff like that, so you don't die. That's a struggle going on since the time immemorial. And this is called abhinibheshita, clinging to what I have now, my identity, my very life itself. And Prabhupada mentions it in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. He says, it's like being stalked by a tigress around any corner. Ah! And that's it. And everyone's afraid. And Prabhupada mentioned it during earthquake. He said everyone was screaming because they are afraid. They thought, this is it. I'm going to be gone now. So that clinging to life, the abhinibheshita. So the point is, avesha, we've entered somewhere. We've entered a body. We've become fully identified with it, except for, Jung will say that beneath the surface, in what he called our mental or subtle body, he called it our shadow self, we're at conflict with that because we're always trying to rectify. And in dreams, we go through all kinds of episodes through which we're trying to work out how to balance this dichotomy between who we are and what we're trying to present ourselves as. It's also called cognitive dissonance. That I'm acting in a certain way, I portray myself in a certain way, but below the surface, I'm something else. And Patanjali Muni also talks about how and so does the Bhagavad Gita, we're conditioned by various modes. We have a certain nature according to our interaction with the modes, but we're something different beyond that. One way or another, we're going to be abhinibheshita, which means we're going to enthusiastically enter somewhere and we're going to become consumed by it. And that then holds us in a particular place. So now, what does Jung say? He says, how do you come out of this? You have to become aware of your shadow self. Don't run away from it. Don't sublimate it. But embrace it and notice it. And of course, that's his therapeutic method. But the Bhagavatam says something more than that. Just the light of awareness isn't enough. You have to become aware of your relationship with Krishna. And the Bhagavatam then says, when you become absorbed, or abhinibheshita, in Krishna, you enter into Krishna's world. And how do you do it? Emotionally. Kama, dvesha, bhayasnehad. What's the next line? Yata bhakteshvare manaha. Avesha, there it is. The word again, avesha. It's the same word, abhinibhesha. Avesha comes from vish. That's the root word. You have to enter into it. But it says you have to enter deeply within it. So bhakti means to then realign ourselves with Krishna and be fully absorbed, and that's my identity. I'm Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaisho nashudro naham barni nacha gripatir no yatava kintu prodyan nikala paramananda purnamritabdir gopi bartu kamalayor das anudasaha. Who are you? Well, Mom, I changed my name. That's a big shift, right? Like you're changing my name. What did you change your name to? Well, my new name is Radha Dasi. What does it mean? It means I'm a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Radharani. Who's that? Well, she's Krishna's consort. Who's Krishna? There's a whole world there to enter into. It's not just cut off this world, but bhakti is so accommodating that we walk into it and we become a abhinibhesha. Like we walked in here. We're in a little cave here with Krishna. And, he's here. His holy name's here. We only take prasadam. Some kids are going to have a grain ceremony. What are you going to take? only Mahaprasadam, otherwise don't even put it near my mouth, they'll say, the little kids, 6 months old. Everybody is looking to how can I become a Abhinivesha, absorbed, embraced by, enter into Krishna. Then that's the real solution. And that can be achieved by very easily because it's our real identity. And it's such a relief also because Krishna helps those who help themselves. And if we realize the simplicity of it, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. It's you enter here or you enter there. Somewhere you're going to enter, and somewhere you're going to be absorbed, and you're going to be fully absorbed because that's what we do. We assume the identity wherever we enter. So bhakti, in a very real way, reorients us to where to be absorbed. And by taking the Vaidhi steps of going through the process of moving everything so it's all Krishnaized, then we become Abhiniveshita, but absorbed in Krishna. I'm just going to answer one question because Ananta Prabhu wrote me yesterday. And since I have a couple minutes, I'm going to read your question and see if I can answer it. May I? He said, in today's purport to 2:126, it says, everything material is contaminated. And we were wondering, how is that possible? Because everything comes from Krishna through his glance, through the Mahat Tattva, through the false ego, and through the gunas. So it's answered in the Bhagavad Gita. Ye chaiva sapika rajas tamasas, what is, ye chaiva sapika bhavas tamas, rajas tamas, wait a minute, it's, that's why I got a Gita here. It's chapter 7. Ye chaiva sapika bhavas. 7:12. Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasas tamasascha ye mata iveti tan vidhi natwaham teshu te mai. Which means, know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I'm in one sense everything, but I'm independent. I'm not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Purport, short from Prabhupada. All material activities in the world are being conducted under the three modes of material nature. Although these material modes of nature are emanations from the Supreme Lord Krishna, he is not subject to them. For instance, under the state laws, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to that law. Similarly, all the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are emanations from the Supreme Lord Krishna, but Krishna is not subject to material nature. Therefore, he is nirguna, which means that these gunas or modes, although issuing from him, do not affect him. That is one of the special characteristics of Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, when energies are separated from Krishna by consciousness, in other words, if one isn't aware of Krishna, or there's no Krishna consciousness, if somebody's looking at matter, Ratertam yat pratyeta, this is Krishna to Brahma, he says, Ratertam yat pratyeta na pratyeta chatmani tad vidyad atmano mayam yatabhaso yatatamaha. If you look at anything and you think it's separate from me, kind of fits in with Dvitiya, that's illusion. And that's what's called contaminated, because you've lost the awareness that it's connected to Krishna. So although it emanates from Krishna, those living entities who are his separated parts and parcels, they have free will to estrange themselves from Krishna and interact with his energies in a forgetful way, willfully forgetting him. And then they're called contaminated, although nothing ultimately is contaminated except for because of its separation from Krishna, there's an impending darkness that comes in and an involvement with the three modes of material nature. And what's the remedy? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, and this proves the point, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmanohutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavya Brahmakarma Samadhina. Any of those energies that have, any energy that's re-engaged in Krishna's service, then takes on its original purified spiritual quality, and it becomes auspicious. Anything left on its own or engaged for a selfish purpose beyond engaging in Krishna's service, that's called contaminated. But Krishna's never contaminated by it. However, he gives it his external energy as a facility for those who wish to live in a contaminated state. Om Tat Sat. And now we'll see if you have any reflections or questions from any of the monologue that I've presented so far today. Yes. Okay, 2 online. And who is that? Devavrata? It's Devavrata. Are you sporting a new jacket? Because that's very orange. All I can see is the orangeness. And okay, please go ahead. It's good to see you. We can read lips. See if you can get close enough to read his lips. Because if he's speaking, we can't hear him.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't getting unmuted. This is an old jacket.
Okay.
I have been doing book distribution at shops recently, downtown shops in northern Idaho. And I noticed one of the frequent themes of all these shops is either there's television on with a game, or there's music going on which is dealing with a romantic relationship. And I was just thinking, based on your class, how these two things generally exist because people are trying to enter into a mood when they're in a downtown area. And so I noticed yesterday on one of the TVs, there was the highlights of a big game where everything came down to the buzzer. And I was just thinking how ultimately that's what the living entity is looking for in the relationship with Krishna. They're trying to experience that excitement where everything's coming down to the fever pitch moment. And then with music, it's just a reflection of the adiras. And so you can see in the world how there's so many expressions of what the devotee enters into. My question is, how do we gauge our consciousness in such a way that we can constantly be absorbing ourselves in Krishna, despite the fact that there's so much stimuli for what appears to be the same thing in the material world, but just perverted, really reflected?
Just the way you're doing it. That if we're able to connect it to Krishna, you hear a song, any lyric. I had an similar experience going on being on Sankirtan and hearing music when I was a brahmachari, and I distinctly remember once I heard a song by Diana Ross, and it goes like this. You are everything, and everything is you. And I was going, that's Bhagavad Gita. And the part where we connect it, and we're able to see how Krishna's energies are working, and we say, oh, I see how that happened. It's very similar to what the Goswamis do. When they mention this, they see boys and girls are spontaneously attracted to one another, and they say, yeah, that's it. I want to be attracted like that to Krishna. It's all a reflection. So if you're seeing the connection in the reflection, that it becomes a Krishna conscious observation. And that's a result of our own observations. We talked about it during japa this morning, that when we're chanting, we can be acutely aware, ubayor apidrishnontas, that there's two things happening. There's material nature, and then there's consciousness. And the two things are fascinating to watch and see the difference between the two. And then the rest of the world, as Narada Muni, when he was a small child, after his mother passed away, he was left an orphan. And by that time, he had already had association with the sadhus. So he went out to observe the world. And he was seeing how all of Krishna's energies were working. And those kinds of observations Prabhupada constantly made. When he was on morning walks, he'd notice things. He'd say, this means this means that. And oh, how interesting. A bird sitting in a nest, it was leaving its remnants on the ground. And Prabhupada asked what it meant. And devotees thought, what could it possibly mean? He's passing and it's going on the ground in one pile. And Prabhupada said it means he's attached to that branch. And every living entity is attached to a particular place. In this way, Prabhupada would see something. He saw a father pick up his son to place a letter in a mailbox. And then Prabhupada made something out of that. Like, this is how we work. We have a desire to do, Krishna picks up, we put all of our functions, the way we talk, the way we move, it's all coming from Krishna. In Hawaii, devotees asked Prabhupada if it was Maya if they went to the beach. And because that's all there is in Hawaii, is beach. And Prabhupada answered, he said, how could you be in Maya? Krishna's the ocean. He's the light of the sun and the moon. How could you possibly be in Maya there? Which is a good question. Obviously we have to be careful, because unless we have a melted heart and we're engaged in seeing the world and feeling such an intense connection to Krishna through seeing everything that's happening, then it's possible to get caught on something, like as happened to Ajamil. He was doing his sadhana, but he wasn't strong enough. So when he saw a scene, it wasn't like he could connect it. And certain things we should be very careful of looking at and just think, oh no, I can process that, but then it might process you, which is the problem in the material world. We're really smart because we're parts of Krishna, so we invent television, for instance. I know it's an old technology, I'll get to the higher things in a second. But, you know, what does it take to figure out how to build a television? It's an amazing thing. But then, okay, you figured it out. You dominated material nature, and now it dominates you. How many people are addicted to it? Now look at the phone. That's a more intense version of television because you keep it in your pocket, and it's got more channels and more information. How smart are the people who figured out, I mean, it's probably all of you, how to make a phone. And then everyone's trapped by it. So that's material nature's a little tricky. So we have to keep in good association. We have to always assume that we're not liberated and that we could be subjected to anything in this world at any time. And we should be praying, although we're observing and we're processing, we should always think, I could be a victim at any time. The minute I think I'm impervious to the power of the material nature, that's the moment that we start getting caught. And so we have to be really on our guard. Yes?
And what about like when we deal with like unfavorable elements on like book distribution or Sankirtan and preaching, like people who treat us like the scum of the earth and push us around
really good.
And call us dirty names?
That's the best. And that's why one of the main reasons we go out. And you might even get it from devotees sometimes. You know, they'll write you, why are you doing? I was with Jai Vaita Maharaj when I was in England, and somebody asked him a question about what if somebody criticizes you. He said, oh, that's really good. You should think that's only the half of it. And the disciple of Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj, from our Gaudiya Math friends, he he used to say, when people ask him, what's your religion? He said, my religion is to find my own faults and correct them. And so, yeah, if we stay Trinadapi Sunichena, always think I'm the lowest one around. I saw a letter from Pradumna. He was writing about the editing process years ago when they were working with Prabhupada, and he had written that Prabhupada was angry because he found mistakes in the transcripts that they were going to print. And he said, so we have to make sure that we fix these. He was writing to Jayaveta Maharaj, and he said, of course, he wrote as a preface, he said, of course, I'm the faultiest one around, but, and he went on from there. And that's what protects us, is to be aware of the fact that we're no match for the material energy. Great to see you there in Idaho. We all wish we were with you, but we are in spirit. Hare Krishna. Okay, somebody else had their hand up online. Mysore Pak. Okay. Please go ahead.
Dandavats Maharaj, very happy to see you back in the home turf. I was just wondering that just like how Srila Prabhupada, you gave the example of how the bird dropping, Srila Prabhupada could connect it to something sublime related to Krishna. And I have seen it in your classes also, how you could actually connect even the most boring, mundane things, like a cat getting a new coat. You mentioned that actually it was Krishna's arrangement of how Krishna is taking care of everything. And there was some cobweb, and you mentioned that, okay, how we are all attached to this, we are all attached in similar ways. So,
yeah, it was on my shed in the backyard, I'd leaned a shovel against it. And then a spider made the web connected from the handle of the shovel to the shed. And I said, listen, we got to talk. Because this has to move. I can't leave it here forever and wait for your whole family to be born and the whole thing. I gently moved it, helped to relocate, but I was thinking that, yeah, that's me. And then I looked at my house and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm that spider. That's me. I'm talking to him. I should be talking to myself. Because, if the earthquake comes, which could any second, and knocks it down, then I'm like, hey. So, yeah, that's the vision that Prabhupada had, and he taught us to cultivate.
Jai. Maharaj, one more point on young, since you mentioned about the dreams, and there's a chapter in Beyond Illusion and Doubt dedicated to young. And Young says that we wear so many masks. He calls it a glorified term called persona, and it's actually a big term in software industry, persona. But Young warns us that you are wearing so many masks and you might start becoming the mask. And you have to be at least aware that if you're using the mask, you are wearing one. So I thought it would be relevant.
Yes, this persona idea, David Haberman, who is a preeminent scholar in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, he wrote a book about this, and he mentions how Raga Anuga Bhakti literally means to develop this persona. It's not artificial, because but what the process is mentioned in Tannama Rupa Charitari Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasini Yoja Tishtan Vraje Tananuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayed Akilamityupadesha Saram. That through this process of Krishna consciousness, hearing, chanting, etc., we realign ourselves with a persona, Tishtam Raje Tananuragi. It means we find a person, we become naturally attracted. Our appreciating capacity awakens naturally through Vaidhi Bhakti. And then we start getting attracted to a persona in Vrindavan. And when we do that, then this is the awakening of our natural relationship with Krishna. And by then cultivating that more, then that persona, which is our eternal nature, awakens. And we start taking on that natural, eternal persona. And that's the transfer process. So he shows how that's the actual system by giving Shastric reference from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and elsewhere. Thank you very much, Vaikuntha Nayaka.
Thank you, Bhaj.
Hare Krishna. Okay, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finished. Okay. Yes. That's I've got an algorithm in my head. It's whirring right now. I can hear it, and I can see exactly how I'm going to finish. Okay, just ask short questions.
Yes.
And I'll get
Krishna, Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. I'm glad to have you back. So mine is a little practical question. During book distribution, what I've observed normally, you don't handshake, you just put your hand and the other person reciprocates. But what if the situation is the person who's on the other hand wants to get a handshake?
give it to him. I go all out, and I'll give fist bump because people are lonely, and they need human touch. And when you give human touch, they're so happy, and everybody reaches for it. It's like I was on Oxford Street. It's the hardest place in the world. They call it working the ox. So, there's 100 people who go by, and boom, if somebody touches your hand, like you can feel it. That I'll do like this, and people are walking by, and they'll come back. I've had somebody come across the street in traffic because I went like that. Somebody across the street, and they cross. So they need that. But yeah, fully commit if somebody wants. But learn how to shake hands. Different people shake hands differently. There's different handshakes. Here, I'll demonstrate. Come here. This is the fist bump. Everybody knows that. Of course, there's extended fist bump, which you may not know. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that. Some people, some cultures, if you know the fist bump, how to do the whole thing, then they'll just stay with you. And then other people, they do like boom, 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 like that, and then like this. There's lots of ways to shake hands, but if somebody wants to shake hands, I heartfelt lean into it and really shake their hand, because we're trying to make a heart-to-heart connection with people. And there's nothing more satisfying than making a heart-to-heart connection with somebody because they're another soul. Anyway, I won't go into too much detail because I got an algorithm running in my head. Okay, who is next? Somebody keep count for me. Otherwise, we'll just throw the microphone. You fight it out amongst yourselves. Who else? Yes.
Thank you for such a wonderful class, and especially how we can take they saw that there was Krishna protected them with Bakasur, and he will protect again. And also I remember in Bhagavad Gita 2.56, Prabhupada says that one should be daring and active in our one service. Can you please elaborate a little bit, give how one can be daring and active following this principle?
There's a verse in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, right before Sarvadharman Parityaja, where Krishna says, here it is. It's 1858. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you'll be lost. So we want to listen in for what Krishna wants. You have to become aware of the super soul. And super soul speaks through Guru Sadhu Shastra. And then align yourself. Don't speculate. Kardama Muni, he performed severe austerities for thousands of years, and the Lord appeared before him. And he was very submissive, and he was very vulnerable also. He told him everything, whatever he wanted, his material desire. He said and of course it wasn't exactly material because he was entrusted with populating the universe. He said, I want a wife. And you know what Lord Narayan said? I know that. I already know that. And so he said, I've made an arrangement for you. When Swayambhuva Manu brings Devahuti, because it was a great match, and much is made of that in Prabhupada's purports, then Swayambhuva Manu just gives a little fatherly advice. And he said, my daughter's a gem. You should take her. And he said, he's preemptively saying, if you back out of this, it's going to be really bad for you, because this is arranged by the Lord, and everyone will say that you really made a bad decision. And they get married, obviously. So we should find out what it is Krishna wants us to do. We have to listen very carefully. We have to purify ourselves also and listen to Super Soul very carefully. And we have to also verify it by hearing the voices of those sadhus we respect from the spiritual master, from the Shastra. Line it up and then act. And so Krishna again says, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So that's the system. Straight up Krishna consciousness. Okay, there was two more? Yes. 1, 2. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, first of all, I really appreciate all the discussions regarding like psychology and neuroscience that you also bring. It helps us relate to the concepts that we study in our Shastras a lot. A question that I have is, sometimes my mind, the way I've been thinking about this a lot, the way my mind sometimes works is, it always tests whether I'm offending Krishna. So it just has like some intrusive thoughts that's like offending Krishna. I'm like, oh Krishna, I didn't mean that. Like, I hope you, I don't know if it's like a common behavior, but it's just like, I feel like I want to be so, I want to appear so good to Krishna that I don't want to like think about anything that can like harm him. But then my mind's like testing it out, and I think it's in general called as intrusive thoughts. I was just wondering how to get over such games that mind plays.
Yeah, it's an excellent point and good question. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this in his Krishna Samhita. And he mentions how there's two levels of understanding. One is theoretical, and the other is by chit samadhi. So when we hear things, they make sense to us intellectually, and we can process them. And that's a good thing. Evam buddhi param buddva samstabhyatmanamatmana jahishatra mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Krishna says you should use your intelligence to move forward, Arjuna, and overcome the lower propensities. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur then says, there's another level, which is chit samadhi, when you actually see it for yourself. Ubayarapi drishton tas, you actually drishta, you're actually seeing it for yourself, which means that from our own practice, which requires a clear playing field for our lives, we can't mess around. If we mess around, there are 4 regulative principles. There's also all kinds of extracurricular activity in the material world that can scramble our brain enough so that we're not going to hit chit samadhi. So we should cultivate sattva as much as possible in whatever we do. And then in our deep practice, by Krishna's mercy, we can have an experience that's full. It's not mental, it's not intellectual, but it's a full experience. We actually see it for ourselves. And when that happens, we're on solid ground. And we can have a reason, I said reasonable, has to do with the mind more than the intelligence. But then it's natural for us to adjust the way we interact with Krishna, and it's not theoretical or mental. Yeah. Okay? Was there one last? Okay.
Prabhu, mine was just as Devavrita Prabhu asked, I had the same question, but I was just thinking that, is there there are days, I mean, for him, he's a brahmachari and his thing is book distribution. He gets distracted only once a while when something comes up. But a person like me, every day in and out, there is only distractions. So, life goes like a sine curve. Then you work so hard and then you'll go up and all wonderful days and everything, very Krishna conscious. There'll always be a trough where it'll go like, you don't even know whether you are even Krishna conscious or, even thinking about Krishna ever, and, all trash will go on. And again, you realize and again, you wake up. So I was just thinking that, is there a way that you can tell Krishna, I chose to be away from you. You gave me independence and I misused it. Now that I am surrendered to you, can you just make sure that I don't get distracted? Because it looks like, for me personally, it looks like for eternity, I go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, you can do that. Krishna is so expert, he may also know that we need help. And, like Sanatana Goswami came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was on a heavy mission. He escaped from the government and he could have been killed at any minute and almost was. And then when he got to Lord Chaitanya looked at him a little askance. And then he could understand, oh yeah, I got this blanket from my brother-in-law. And he went and traded it in, came back, and Lord Chaitanya said, very good, very good, very good. And then he said, a physician will never leave even a small semblance of the disease in the patient. He wants to make sure it's all gone. So look at Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted something so badly that he was willing to do anything. Worship God, I'm going, boom. Then afterwards, he said, I don't want it. And Krishna said, no, take it anyway. You stay here, you take it, take the thing. You have it. So he's most expert in helping so that we should always remain sincere. But if he gives us another situation, then that's his mercy. That, okay, compare this. Even with Sudama, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, why did he get so much opulence? And he says something very interesting. He said, Sudama was attached to being renounced. And he said, he didn't want that in his devotee. Don't only be attached to me. And so he wanted to show him the complete dichotomy. So poor, now you're so rich, richer than Indra. So now, let's see you be devotional there. So whatever situation, we should develop this devotional equilibrium that Krishna, whatever you want. Narayana parak sarve, nikutaschana bhibyati, swarga pavarga, narakeshu, api tuliarta darshina. We're equal in any situation Krishna puts us in. Last one, we got 1.5 minutes. Better be a short question. Yes.
As the Gopas entered into Aghasura, although they knew that, or Krishna didn't want them to, yet they did it. So is it fine to assume that whatever we are doing, we don't know whether it is Krishna's will or not, but we do it anyways and Krishna will protect us?
What was the reference in the beginning?
The Gopas who entered into Aghasura, and Krishna was amazed that why are these guys entering there?
And so then your succinct question is, should we assume that whatever we do is Krishna wants us to do?
We assume that Krishna will be protecting us and he'll take care. Of course, it needs to be under the regulative principles, but yes.
We should also be aware of the fact that we're fallible and therefore not try to cut corners. And just on a very practical level, I always wear a safety belt. Much to the chagrin of every cab driver in India. It's like, no, don't wear it. And they take theirs off, right, when they go in. However, Prabhupada says, one of the principles of devotional service is to be straightforward in ordinary dealings. Our dealings with the material world are ordinary and anything can happen. So we shouldn't leave it to Krishna to come and save us. Don't make him come down there to help us necessarily for an ordinary type of thing. For that, we should take care of ourselves. For instance, you should take care of your wealth. You should protect it and not just think, oh, well, it doesn't matter, you know. It does. Otherwise, you're going to be running a GoFundMe for the rest of your life. You know, why? If you have the wherewithal to take care of your wealth, then do it. If you have a wherewithal to take care of your health, you should do it too. And not just think, oh, it doesn't matter. I can eat gulab jamuns every day for breakfast. Because there will be a consequence. So in that sense, we shouldn't. But in a devotional sense, when it comes to taking risks and about that daring and active, we should calculate, how may I follow in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj, not imitate. How can I follow in the footsteps of Prabhupada? He got on the Jaladuta. Where's my Jaladuta? What can I step on? You know, that's Prabhupada entering into the mouth. He's swallowed up by the ocean and just going to a new place. We should find our level, according to our adhikari, of what we can do so that we can take a risk for Krishna based on the order we get from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And then we have an exciting life. Thank you. And thank you very much, everyone, for keeping the transcendental vibration going here. It's always a miracle that we're able to come together. We have this time and space, and we're able to do what we do. Every moment, every day is unique. We're in the throes of so many different projects, and we have great opportunity to stay the course in every one of them and just fully take shelter of Krishna in this circumstance, the goals that we're going for in all departments here. And that will save us in this lifetime from having to be absorbed in some mundane goal. Because we're so absorbed in this, we don't even know how old we are, do we? No, we don't know. We're just life's going by. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha, if you so desire. Please always keep us at your lotus feet, and please let us be daring and active in your service. May we be humble in our relationships with all living entities, and may we follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada to distribute Krishna consciousness to all the poor fallen souls. Thanks for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpadurusha kripasinave vacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anantakoti vaishnaviniki jai go premanande Haribo. Now we have a first grain ceremony, and for that we'll need one bhajan. And then we're going to conduct it right here. So anybody who wants to witness it can stay. If you need a breath of fresh air, please go out and come right back. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. This is a heartfelt ceremony. Feel free to come sit close. It's short, but you'll find this to be extremely uplifting. Because what we're doing here today is connecting baby Mukunda. And we're very glad he's here. One of the best dressed babies on the planet. Yes, definitely. He looks like a little prince. And we're going to be giving Mukunda a little Mahaprasadam as his first grains. This is part of the system, the tantric system, that every avenue that we have to connect with Krishna, we take advantage of, starting from a very early age, the formative ages. So that's what's going to happen. We have the Maha Sweet Rice right here. We have the baby. Not yet. I'm just saying, we have what we need. And Mahesh and Shivani, congratulations for bringing Mukunda. And this is Mother, your mother. Welcome. Hare Krishna. Okay. Savana bhavatu savana bhunaktu sahatiryan karvavahai tejasvinam adityam astu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Swasino Govinda Swasino Chutananto Swasino Vasadevo Vishnu Dharatu Swasino Narayano Naro Vai Swasina Padmanabha Purushottam Dharatu Swasino Vishwakshena Vishveshwaraha Swasino Hrishikesho Harir Dharatu Swasino Vainatayo Harihi Swasino Ananjana Suto Hanur Bhagavatu Dharatu Swasti Swasti Sumangalai Kesho Mahanshi Krishna Sakchit Ananda Ganaha Sarveshwareshwaro Dadatu. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaurabhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Now we'll recite the chapter Purushottam Yoga in English. English. Because everyone knows the Sanskrit, nobody knows the English. No, doesn't. English, please. Thank you. That's Sanskrit still. The Supreme Personality Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and its leaves of the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down. These are bound to the fruit of actions of human society. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree, the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto that Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. That supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys on the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuffs. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and in the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in this world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself full devotional service to me, O son of Bharat. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Okay, now Mukunda, we would be very honored to give you your first grains. Yum, yum, vapi.
What do you think? Some more?
Go, Mukunda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Okay, Mukunda. Now we're going to perform a very scientific process through which we can discern your proclivities in life and thus your likely future engagement. Before you here, we have the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Not any canto, but the 10th canto. On the other side, you'll see a huge pile of cash. There's jewels, gold, diamonds, rubies, pearls. And please have a look and then use whatever natural instinct you have to go for it. And we're going to calculate based on that. Okay, Mukunda? What do you see? The Achman cup. We'll add that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Yeah, add the beat back.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Feedback.
Rama,
Okay.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Very, very good. This is a great sign. He has his hand on the bead bag, but what's more, he won't let go. This is a good instruction for all of us. Put your hand in your bead bag. Mukunda will be a strict sadhaka throughout his life. He'll be eager to chant Hare Krishna and to teach it to other people all over the world. Also, judging from his natural charisma as a baby, he'll be attractive to people in general. So he'll be able to impart Krishna consciousness to them by teaching in many places around the world. And he'll be known for chanting the best japa of anyone around. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmana Shringadev, if you so desire, please bless Mahesh, Shivani, and Radharani Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna, and our dear Mukunda, to always be at your lotus feet, always be absorbed in the transcendental vibration, to feel compassion in your heart for the conditioned souls, and may you always have Maha sweet rice at your disposal, wherever you go. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer, please say Hare Krishna. I hereby declare this first grain ceremony for Mukunda to be a complete success. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadrishcha kripasanabhevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nantakodi Vaishnaviniki Jai.